Hi everyone, it's Penny. So I'm just going to be going through today some basics about patterns. I know once somebody starts sewing after they learn some hand stitches, that's one of the first things they want to know about. And so even though if you're a very, very, very beginner, you do need to learn those basic stitches. I will be going over those in a couple of days. But I know the excitement's great, and there's a lot of sales going on because we're in fall and it's a change of seasons, and so you might be getting excited about Christmas, and so you might want to maybe make a dress for Christmas, or maybe you want to make your child a gift. In the back of pattern catalogs, there's crafts like dollies and cutesy pillows for kids, dresses for their American Girl dolls. We just had Halloween yesterday, so a lot of people make costumes as one of their first projects. If that's you, and maybe you need to make a shepherd's costume for the play at church, you'll be looking for a pattern. And so I just wanted to go over that with you really quick, how you pick one out. So you go to the pattern store or to Walmart or to Hobby Lobby, and there will be these giant books, and they will say they're like this thick, and they're like big, and they're usually on a table, or like at Walmart, they have them on top of the drawers where the patterns are held. And then what you do is you look through your pattern. Like this is an apron pattern that I'm using to make something for a friend. Okay, so this is retro style patterns. She's actually using this one with the sleeve ruffles of that one to make a pattern, to make an apron that looks like an anime character that she follows on anime. And she's going to AnimeCon in the spring, and she wants to look like this aproned nurse character that she follows. So we're making her a 19th century style nurse's uniform using this as the apron piece, none of the embroidery part. Anyway, so I found this pattern. I went through the books, couldn't find one for the anime character itself. So then we said, well, we just need a basic button-up dress, shirt dress type pattern. We got that, and then we need the apron. And then we need to like somehow get a red cross on the center of the apron so it looks like a nurse's apron from like World War I or the Civil War. So we found this, and again, we have to look at the back, because the back has a lot of information. So as you can see on the front, there's a lot of models on this pattern. There's a lot going on. And this one might be confusing if it weren't for the fact that it also provided line drawings here. So these are the back views. Sometimes, because it's an apron, they lay flat, and you can see the back and the front on the view, right? But if it wasn't a pattern that had that particular helpful part, you might only see the back view. So, for instance, I have this simplicity pattern here. This is a 1950s remade pattern. This was the original pattern front, and the models are the retro models, so they reproduced the models on the front. But what they did, Simplicity did, and they're very good at this, Simplicity remade this pattern using these design lines, but with modern sewing techniques. So there are things in here that are going to help you learn how to make this dress that may not have been included in the original pattern, because there was a kind of an assumption that home sewists, because it was such a common skill for a wife to have to make clothes for her children, that home sewists didn't need to know certain steps because those steps were just considered common knowledge. Well, that's not the case for us today, because again, like I said in my last video, we've gotten to a point where sewing as a skill is becoming rarer and rarer, and it's almost never taught in the home anymore. And so we need to reclaim and revive the skill that honestly almost died. And when our economy is low and our finances are tight, that's when people turn back to sewing as a skill, because they can't afford things like Halloween costumes and an apron for your kid for kindergarten, or you need to make a sleep mat or a sleep bag, and your kid is autistic and has sensitivity to certain fabrics. All of those things are reason why people sew. So in this pattern, so what you would find is what you need, and then I'm going to use this pattern to explain to you a few basic things about patterns themselves. So the big four companies, the big main companies that you'll always find at a sewing store like Joann Fabrics, is Simplicities, Vogue, McCalls, and Butterick. Now, if you're interested in buying patterns, I would highly recommend you wait until they go on sale, because as you can see from the back of these patterns, this is the McCalls one. I bought this one about 6 months ago. Look at the price. That's just for the paper that's inside this envelope and the instructions. And mind you, yes, an artist's job and an artist's intellect is worth money, right? They went to school for it. It's a trade. They learned how to do these things. However, as much as I embrace all of that, I'm telling you, these patterns routinely go on sale for $1, $1.99, 30% off, anything. I would highly recommend you start accumulating a list of pattern numbers, and then when they go on sale, you just go to the store and get them. And how do you know when they go on sale? You download the Joann Fabrics app. Joann Fabrics is, I think, the only ones who do pattern sales. You download the Joann Fabric app, and you register with the app, and it will send you an email when they're having a sale. Joann's has a sale like 3 weeks out of every month. So chances are you're going to be able to get it. And they always have a coupon for 40% off a regular priced item. So let's say you saw this dress, not really crazy about the McCalls version, and you really want to make it a super fancy dress because you're going to some sort of, like, maybe you're going on a cruise and you need a dress for that fancy night, right? And you don't want to stick out like a sore thumb, but you don't want to go all foo-foo, so you want something that's like a sundress. And so you found this in Vogue, this yellow dress here, which I think is adorable. The halter top, oh my God. Anyway, so maybe you want the actual Vogue, but McCalls is what's on sale today. You could buy the Vogue pattern with that coupon for 40% off, because Vogue's not on sale that day. You can still get one item for 40% off. And that happens every time you're in the store. There's coupons that pop up on your phone through the app. Anyway, so I would highly recommend that. So when the patterns are on sale, that's when you want to buy them. So let me just tell you a little bit about each of these pattern companies. So Butterick is the less expensive version of Vogue, okay? So Vogue and Butterick are basically owned by each other, right? So just like with car companies, there's lines of different cars, same thing. So this would be the Mercedes-Benz. This would be the Honda Civic, right? So that's that. And then you have McCalls, which are the more stylish sister of Simplicity. However, I will say lately, I think Simplicity is really stepping up their style game. They're definitely doing a lot for the retro sewing community. And in fact, I follow a woman, her name is Gertie. You may know her too. She is from California, and she is definitely one of those California Hollywood babes that likes to dress in retro clothing, and she does her hair in a retro way. I mean, her whole life and style is about being retro. And she has done a couple of patterns for Simplicity. It's fantastic. if you are interested in following her, by the way, she is on Patreon. Gertie Sews, I believe, is the name of her channel. She's really great. I think she's Facebook too. So anyway, so those are the 4 patterns that the main patterns. And then sometimes you find free patterns, completely free, on the internet from independent retailers. This one is a woman's yoga skirt, which was done by a pattern company by the name of Sparkle that I found online. So this is a skirt. I could see this being made with swimsuit material. So you'd have a skirt to wear under a one-piece, or maybe you want to make the top, so you'll find a top to coordinate with this, and you'll have a 2-piece bathing suit. I think that would be darling. Okay, so that's the thing. So what happens with these is, again, there's the chart for all your information, all your measurements. You see all these pages? You have to tape all of these together. Now, there are companies that will take a file, it's called an A0 file, and it will print them on giant paper. If you do them locally, it's so expensive, you might just have gone to the Joann's and bought a regular pattern on a non-coupon day. But if you have a printer at home, you can print these out with 8.5 by 11 copy paper, and then you just tape them together. Okay, that's what these are. They usually have a nice little booklet too that you print out that has all the instructions in it. Sometimes fabric stores online fabric retailers, sometimes you can get like really great deals in fabric. There's one called Fabric Warehouse Direct. Oh my God, such good fabric deals. Very basics. You're not going to find a lot of prints. You're not going to see a lot of stylish things. But if you're just looking for a plain cotton, a plain anything, that's your place. If you're looking for like basic satin, basic charmeuse, basic with no pattern, that's your place. I'm telling you, it's ridiculously cheap. The other thing that I really like them for is their bridal laces are very reasonable in comparison to major retailers like Joann Fabrics. I can actually afford them there. And then there's another place called Mood. Now they have much more stylish designer, New York design. They actually have a section in their store that says New York designer fabrics. So if you're trying to recreate something that you saw on the runway model or something you saw in a magazine, you want that exact print, that's the place to go. So it's moodfabrics.com. And on their website, not only do they give sewing tutorials for really difficult things like full bust adjustments, but they also have a selection of Mood designed patterns. Now this is what it looked like on the computer when they were plotting it out. So they gave you that. That helps you when you're putting the pages together. Mood only provides PDF patterns that are that way. This is called tiled. This is the only way that Mood gives their patterns out, but they have some really good design ideas. And this particular one is their take on the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel's cocktail dress that she wore the night, if you know the series, the night that she was performing in the club in front of her father for the first time. That's this one, the one with the little black bows at the shoulder, really cute. That's this one. So that's available through Mood. So that's another place you can find patterns. Okay, so going back to a regular pattern, I'm going to use McCalls right now. I might switch back and forth, but right now we're using McCalls. The first thing you have to realize is that for McCalls, their measurements for their sizes are on the flap. When you're looking at the simplicity, they're part of the chart on the back. Now, a little word to the wise, when you're taking your measurements, you will need your bust, waist, hip, and back waist measurement. So that is the amount of space from the nape of your neck to where your waist hits comfortably. Because let's be honest, if you make this dress, go to the trouble of making this dress, and then it's not comfortable, why? Why did you even bother? And let's be honest, some of us are long-waisted from our clavicle to our belly button, or from the nape of our neck to our waist. Some of us are only long-waisted in the front, but not in the back. You need to know your body. You need to do your measurements, and you need to have that tape measure that I suggested in the last video. You need to have one of these to do it, okay? And again, these are all, they come in many, many colors. I have a yellow one. This one's actually for quilting, so it's super long. They come in many, many colors, easy to find almost anywhere, even in the grocery store I've seen them. So you take your measurements and then you compare them to this chart. Your ready to wear out in retail land measurements are not going to be the same as what's here, because there's a long history about patterns. Patterns were originally not produced like this at all. They originally came in magazines and you had to trace a line. And I'll show you a sample of that someday, but not today. We're not going to do the history of patterns right now. But I will tell you this, that these are very unreasonable measurements for most people. Most of the time you'll fall into one column and then you'll hop over to another column. And when you're in that situation, this is what you have to ask yourself. Is this a fitted garment? Yes. Is this a fitted garment? No. Only at the bust. You see how it falls away from her body? See the drawing? It falls away from her body. The only thing on either, in this pattern, you really need to worry about is the back waist and the bust, because you want the bust to be fitted, because come on, girls, let's be honest, we want the guys to look at us, right? So we want the bust to be fitted, and we want the back waist to be the right length for us, because if we're long-waisted, even if you're short, sometimes you're long-waisted. If you're long-waisted, you want to make sure that the distance from, this is the back view on the back of the pattern, the distance from your shoulder, the nape of your neck, to the waist of the dress needs to be the right length, so you don't have to keep pulling it up all the time. Okay, this pattern is incredibly fitted, so all of those measurements are really, really, gotta get it right, so really, really important. You see on the view B that doesn't have the scarf, that's the difference between the two. View B, you can really see where it fits just above your bra line, and then that right there is your waistline. If that is not long enough, you're going to be pulling this baby up constantly. And that's why you see women do that. Because it's very possible to be long-waisted from your shoulder to your waist, but normal length from your waist to the floor. You see that in men all the time, all right? They call that their inseam, right? It's not unusual to have short legs and a long torso. That's actually my situation. If you carry a little weight in your tummy, your upper tummy, that will lengthen that measurement as well. So you got to make sure you know what that measurement is. There's no shame in it. Just add a couple inches to the thing, and there's a diagram inside the pattern that teaches you how to do that. Very simple alteration. It's really, really simple. You just lengthen it. So in McCalls, you will find the measurements on the back. For simplicity, you will find the measurements right here. And then your next step is to go down the chart, decide which view you want, okay? And then go down the chart and find your dress, okay? Just so you know, this is a retro pattern. This was the original printing back in the 50s. Simplicity recreated it so that it's more friendly to modern sewists, like I said before. So all of the written stuff is modernized. And so right here where it says fabrics, after you find your pattern, after you find your view, after you find your size in the chart, and again, for this one, all of the sizes, your size has to be less than the size in the chart. If it's more than, you got to go up a size. All right. You almost never will have the luck of going down a size. But it's always an up. And in this pattern, especially if you just want it out of the box to fit you, no alterations, your pattern numbers here on fit have to be greater than your own. So once you find your size, if you're between sizes, you go up, okay? And once you find your size, you go down to the chart and you find your yardage. Fabric is woven in this modern age either at 45 inches wide or 60 inches wide. This is a woven fabric pattern. This one is too. Okay, these are not stretch fabrics. You're not going to have this going on, okay? It's woven. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have the right amount of fabric. So you go back to the chart. I'm going to put the simplicity or the McCalls one down. You go back to the chart. This is the English side. This is international. So you go back to the chart. You find your yardage. Let's say a lot of times in Joann Fabrics, you're going to have 45 inches, okay? So 45-inch bolts with the asterisks. That just means that if you have a three-dimensional feature of the fabric, like applique flowers or velvet or beading, you might have to have a little extra fabric to match things up. That's all those asterisks mean. So what you want to do is you want to find your yardage. So for this one, it is, let's say, for a size 16, it's 4 yards. See that? See where it says 4 yards? Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to go up to the counter where the ladies are cutting the fabrics, or go up to the service desk and say, hey, I'm a new sewer. I'm learning to sew. Could you please point me to the woven fabric sections? This is the pattern that I'm looking at. Show her the pattern, show her the list of fabrics right here, and ask her to point you to the fabric section that would be most appropriate for this dress. Tell her if it's going to be a casual or formal dress. Obviously, this is very beachy casual, right? You might just want to get a plain 100% cotton that would hold up really well in the wash, right? Or if you're going something fancy, you might want to look in the fancy fabrics. However, I would say to you this, and please listen to me. It is not a waste of your time to make a practice garment. Online, if you're listening to people on the YouTube, they will call that a muslin. Or they will use a French word, which is toile. I don't know where that came from. It's something to do with their education in historical costuming. Most of the people that use that term, that's what they use. There is a woman in Britain that I follow that she also uses toile. And what that just means is a practice garment. And then what you would do, you would buy 45-inch muslin fabric, and you would make the entire garment exactly as you believe it would fit you from the pattern. And then after the garment is made, you would then go ahead and make the alterations that you need, marking up the muslin, making sure it fits you perfectly, and then using that muslin fabric toile, practice garment, as your actual pattern. Okay? Another way to do that is to use the stuff that they sell in the Pellon section of the store. Pellon is a company, and they sell non-fusible fabric that can be used to transfer a pattern to. You can actually sew this together like a real garment, try it on, and this could be your muslin. So instead of using actual muslin fabric, honestly, price-wise, they're about the same. What's nice about this is I don't feel as guilty about wasting this. If I have to cut out another piece, it's not a big deal. It doesn't make me feel guilty about it. That's just my hang-up. But you'll see there's tons of writing on this, right? Because I did that. I did the whole dress from the pattern the first time, and then I realized that, and I did it on this paper. this non-woven, it's not really paper, it feels like a disposable washclothy style. And this is the pattern that I had done that for. And I had made this view, the pink one. And after I finished it, then I made alterations to it. And now, because I really love the fit of this dress, it's very forgiving, very lovely. Now, when I make that dress, I use these pieces because these were sewn together so I could practice the dress and fit. And then I made changes. See that change right there? I made changes on it. And then this is my pattern now. So that's the story on patterns. So find your pattern, find your fabric, find somebody helpful at the fabric store. And the next time we're together, I will talk to you about the other pieces of the pattern, such as the instruction sheet and the pattern pieces themselves. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.